G'day. We are continuing on with our Discover the World in Fly Corp. So where we last left off, we had Zimbabwe. That was our next country to connect. We are about 2/3 of the way through the world at this point, but it's going to get a lot more expensive. And we are still hanging out to break into the Americas. Luckily, there's really not that many countries left that it has to happen soon, right? Kampala, where's that? There, alright, so it's a pretty decent, accessible point there. It's always good if it's a major intersection that's going to have all the planes coming to it. And it's sort of decently far away, so that we might get some good points too for the connections to it. We are under 100 minutes left, which I feel like I'm a bit more on edge about than I should be. Like, this is still a very long time, but nah, those last countries are going to get really expensive, so that makes me feel like I'm not making enough money at the moment. Like, we want to try and keep winning that battle, essentially, about making more time than we're losing. We are making money at what feels like a pretty decent clip, but obviously not fast enough. 15,000, 22,000, 18,000. Well, it's only going to be 18 to go back up to that connection, because there's not going to be too much that connects across the bottom. Unlikely that we'll have too much sort of cross the southern tips here, that southern Africa. You want to join? Yeah, let's join. Why not? Might get lucky, but we didn't. Alright, let's have a look at where we've got red planes and what can we do to fix it. So generally what I'm looking for is 2 red planes in a row. I've got a route where there's not enough, there's enough traffic on it that one plane will pick up stuff, and then the plane immediately after it also has to take full load. Someone like this guy. Look at it and go, alright, well, why is that happening? You can see, say, this route here, there's an occasional yellow one, but they're all pretty green. This is that confusing one where there's a plane that's like level 4 that says he's on the Paris-Frankfurt line, but if we click on the Paris-Frankfurt line, there you are. You're my mystery man. Right, I've got you now. Assume someone figured that out last episode and was just very annoyed at me. I'm an iron about why that was possibly happening. South Africa up next. Alright, so it's expensive at the moment to build routes, so luckily we're just sort of not really making route adjustments at the moment, we're just making like airplane adjustments. See here, these guys are still getting the occasional red plane. Not all of them. There isn't too much we can do with these guys if they start to freak out. We can give that one another plane. That other route is a max as fast as planes can go from Kiev to Krasnodar. That is the major highway, I'd say. Although it's part of Europe, I would think would come across here. They wouldn't sort of bounce straight. I do wonder if the speed of the planes factors in. Like, would you now go, well, if I was here, I could go this as a more direct route, but if I go around the top, that's where all the jets are, and that'll actually get me there a lot quicker. Again, we're still just Losing time. I don't want to manually have to add America, and I've waited this far that I don't want to. And if I fail because of it, I know my successful strategy the last time I played obviously must have been that the fact that I brought in America so quickly. But we've only got 1, 2, 3 countries left in Africa. We've got 1 country left in Europe, and then we've got a few countries left in Asia. But surely soon they've got to send us this way. Surely. I mean, yeah, there's only handful of countries left in the because it does feel like it tries to push us 2 different ways. Like it'll go, now you get Asia, now you get Africa, now you get Asia, now you get Africa. So maybe it'll go, now we get Asia, and because we run out of African countries, it actually goes, all right, well, let's send them the other way. How are your flights going? So you're still yellow that way. I'll give you another plane to join that. Did get another Durban. I guess we're now just fully committing to a city in Mozambique that I said I didn't want to make a major city, and making him a major city. I think this guy's wants a little bit of a booster. Alright, the Philippines. The Philippines are quite far from where it's going to be connecting, but I think that we'll just go a connection to Bangkok, and then any other Filipino city we get, we will just connect to Manila. It's sort of just a one-way in, one-way out for them, because they're going to be the end of the line. There's not really, probably going to be anything connected to them. Taiwan possibly could, and I guess if that was the case, we might look at other options. But say I don't think we need to spend $56,000 to get them connected to KL. Alright, so this is our last African continent country coming in there. So far from Manila anyway, but I mean, still going to save us $30,000 going that way. Thank you very much. Romania. What are you costing now, Port Elizabeth? This guy is starting to feel the squeeze a little bit, but we can just make him a little bit bigger. Singapore, one of the newer countries they've added in here, which I'm very glad it is, because it is, if I, like, I'm sure I've said before, if you're flying from anywhere in this part of the world, you've got 2 choices, really, of your best connection points if you're trying to go through Asia. You are either going to bounce through Singapore, or you're going to bounce through Hong Kong. Prior to them adding Singapore, neither of those 2 cities existed on this map. Bangkok's probably in 3rd in that as well. But otherwise, if you say heading all the way over here, you're going to go through the Middle East, like Qatar or the UAE. They're only connected to Hyderabad, so we'll see how this goes for Hyderabad. Getting people to it. We might give them just an upgrade. So Hyderabad doesn't get overloaded waiting. Finally, a city slightly closer. I'm pretty sure that the majority of people in the Philippines live on the northern island. And this is like scattered little islands down here. Very bottom heavy for our airports there. We're looking at 1.5 mil. Again, it's just a small little airport. Like, it's nowhere near as, like, dangerous as that turning yellow makes it seem. I'm going to do a money-saving activity there, and I'm just going to connect you through that guy. More than fair, Manila to a little bit more there. Alright, Singapore. Now, unlike in the real world, Singapore here is just going to be attached to KL. That's, oh, we're doing okay. So Guinea, let's make sure that Guinea's... Okay, so those guys are okay. It's just these two. So we want to swing them both back that way. We'll go give both of them a second plane. I think everyone else can, yeah, operate around that. That's okay. And in terms of like money saving moves, this has been a terrible one over here. Should have just had one of the, like the first one that showed up, just attached everyone else to it. But the long-term thing possibly is the longer the game goes, the more money any route is worth. So if I build a whole bunch of routes now, and like say really early on in the game, if I just like strung, say this one city, and I'd go on connect there, and connected all of them, and then sold them later, the amount of money that I would get, it's almost like an investment. Madagascar's up next, so we are hopefully going to see the end of Africa today. What is that one? 1.6? Yep. It's for how little like seems like it's happening. Does feel like there's a bit of urgency to get moving on. Like, most uncomfortable I've felt with 86 minutes of available time. Quintana Navarro, I think just straight in there will be the way to go. Indonesia up next. Alright, understandably, we can probably upgrade the planes on that route, because there's a fair few cities in the Philippines relying on it. Why are you getting hit so bad? Is it just again that you're a smaller airport? Must be, so we'll just double your size. It could be that possibly you're actually getting used to shift stuff through Southeast Asia now. Although, yeah, actually, I think it's stuff coming out of Southeast Asia. Like, you can see the planes are yellow, traveling left, not, as opposed to these ones that are green. Let's just give them another plane. I missed whatever that new city was that just came in. 1.7 for Indonesia, yep. Okay, so we don't want to upgrade any planes for the next week, if we remember that. Ah, shouldn't be buying so many planes. Okay, so Jakarta's far enough south that it'll be another, like, sort of key location in connections here. We'll wait till this 3 minutes ends before we do that, but it is Mauritius that's up next, which means that that will be our very last African country. We'll have Africa off the board. Left. I'm just hanging here just so I don't forget to give Jakarta a couple more airplanes. As you can see, this one is currently red. No. Alright, that's gone. So we will go 1, 2, and we'll upgrade those as well. Okay. Rider, that was almost full. Where was that? To the north? That one. I assume you're struggling because you get hit with these red planes as they roll up. One, 8, 5, yeah. I say Port Louis, but since I like Mauritius reads like a French word, also going to assume that that's then Louis. What is that part of Mauritius? It must be because it's gone white. Iceland. You see that? We're finally pushing up the other direction. So let's have a look at what our plan is that we want to go with for Iceland. This will be a big one. We're about to endeavor into the Americas, hopefully. So I think that we want to try and make the routes, like the last time I did... Okay, so this is one we actually have to look at because we've just lost Moscow, which means that all of these guys have lost their routes. So if we just slow things down, St. Petersburg's okay. So we need to go 1, 2, 3. Should be giving these guys level 3 planes because otherwise this is going to be a nightmare. Okay, so all of them can travel somewhere. And they only get level 2 planes that they actually get there, not 1. So I guess we moved out of the level 1 market a while ago. So hopefully that means that they can just sort of shift stuff around between each other. But, I mean, all of them are going to freak out about this because of the... If they've got anyone they have to move. I've just sort of string challenged all of these cities. This is going to be a really annoying nightmare for... So these guys shift their full planes, hitting these 100 population cities, so they just max capacity them in that one hit. Second plane in. Give him a second plane. We'll give it that guy a second plane because those are some long routes out. Okay, Iceland. So I think that what we want to try and do is possibly give as shorter routes as possible. I do think that I want to jump all the way directly across. But for Iceland, I don't know if I should just go straight from London, like so, or if we go from Glasgow. I think from Glasgow. I think that slightly shorter route is what we're going to be after. 36,000, 35,000. Because then it just means that like Glasgow can be the one stuck holding lights rather than London. London can sort of move them on. So we won't soft step with this one. We will give Iceland big planes. And so hopefully again we see this. We will now go East Timor, then we're going to get Greenland. We are going to get those that it just seems to continue. I'm picking that up, that it's just now pushing in a let's see what city it was that got it. Okay. Now going to be a weird little mess that these guys are forever going to be on. But because we're pushing this way, I guess that means that possibly China's going to be later. Like that we're going to get the islands in Australia first, and then we'll bounce back up towards China. Dang. The sooner we can get into Canada, the better, though. And so based on this, we are 1, 2, 3, 4 countries away from Canada. And hopefully we'll see our scores really start to rocket at that point. Hopefully. Hey, the United States of America. Let's skip everything and go straight for the big one. What we want. Okay, so I have some thoughts on the way that I'm going to approach this. I want different cities with direct routes into America. So once we get America, I want to sort of say, for example, I want say Dublin. Again, we might just push past London and not have London be the one where all the people are sitting. It's going to be the one after that. So it goes fine. So we're not going to worry about that. So say, for example, London will push everyone to Dublin. And then Dublin will be the one that then pushes that on. So we... the benefit to that is that there's, like, with those 5 planes, there's only so long that they'll sort of be coming back. Does that sentence make sense? They'll only be so long that sort of like there'll have to be wait times for passengers sitting at the takeoff point, and we don't want all those people sitting in London because that's where there's a whole bunch of cities that already rely on that, whereas no one currently relies on Dublin. So we want to go a little bit beyond what we have here. I'd say we want to go to 2.4 million, and it'll slow things down. So we know New York is going to come in too. So I think that what I want to do is go a literal straight across to start with. Maybe we'll go someone further, like Paris, say for example, might go New York, like that. Might not even have to go as high as London. And it is a beautiful thing, absolutely beautiful thing, that I can just sort of set those and they'll spread themselves out properly. Okay. So we will have Washington and New York connected to each other. But the intention will be that we also have New York directly connected. And with these guys, we will start by giving them a couple of extra planes. We probably will have to upgrade those a little bit more as well. Canada's next. Alright, let's make sure they're not going to impact anything. No, it's all good. So we really want to start to see that. Yeah, we want to see these yellow planes arriving into these. Now, I would also imagine that there's possibly more guys might go through New York. Or at least people going from Europe will probably go through New York. People going through... Africa will probably fly through Washington. But with that in mind, we probably could have set Washington to say it'll be all the way down here. But we'll do that with, if we get, say, Atlanta. We might send Atlanta further south. But seeing these red planes is exactly what we want. This is where we're going to start to make some real money. Let's make sure the two of those can hold. And we want to see as many cities in the US as well, because we want that those sort of like long flights going both ways. I want Canada in as soon as possible too. Okay, so connect Ottawa into Toronto. I'm going to connect Ottawa to New York. And we are going to connect Toronto. Is that overkill? I don't think anyone would go that high just to get to Toronto. We'll just save our money. Just leave Toronto much like that. I feel like our money is shot as well. Like, it feels like we're making a lot of money a lot quicker now. North Korea is going to be a weird little gain there. That's just sort of going from that connection there. Now, who we're going to connect North Korea to? It would be good to see if we can now make a gain on time. So we're down to 84 minutes. Can we get back to 90, or are we going to dip down below 80? I think possibly with North Korea, we'll just do a bold like cut across, because then Japan and South Korea can both just hub into this as well. Chicago. We're going to get Washington to make that connection too, because we do want both of those cities to be a option where you fly into. I think at the moment you can see we've got more darker planes going through New York than we do through Washington, but there is someone on these planes at least. 100 people, and that's 100 people that aren't burdening Paris, which is good. But I do think that what we want to do is bulk up that a little bit. Now that does mean that this is going to struggle a bit more, but that's okay. Like, that's the point of why it's not Paris, it's meant to be struggling. Another city come in there somewhere. China. So here we go. We're swinging big now. So Beijing, we're going to connect that way. I was going to say I could connect Beijing. Let's get Islamabad. Bad. All right, let's get a few red planes moving into. Let's get Toronto to connect to Washington. Let's give sort of a square setup there for him. Okay. Alright, Ottawa. A lot of people going to Toronto. That'll probably suddenly stop because they're going to go that route. We'll see. Okay. So, we now have Guangzhou down here. So I think Guangzhou we want to connect to Bangkok, and we want to connect it to Myanmar's capital, or Calcutta. Let's go there. Let's give them 4 5s. Beijing's. I mean, these guys are just on their first return flight, so they'll take a moment to adjust. Lahore is still what that guy's major push is. That's just here. So let's try and sort him out a little bit, because that's just a nearby city that we should be able to fix that real quick. I always like the ones where they just sort of send us a whole bunch of money to say thank you. Those planes are now getting darker, so we'll upgrade that line. Again, good. It means that people are now moving through a different part of the network they weren't previously. I pay, we'll just get through it. Joe. Still can't even afford Japan. The speed that we're now making money. This is so we are now going to put Tokyo and everything we get in Japan and Korea through North Korea. So I think that with that in mind, we need to get North Korea to connect through to at least a second city. Mongolia's next. I can just connect to Beijing. Based on the amount of cities we get in the world, I would say that's just going to be Ulaanbaatar, and that'll be all we see from Mongolia. But we are holding a bit better now. We are still in the 80s. We haven't dropped out of it. So that's at least first a nice thing that we've now got the US and China going. Look at that money speed now. I mean, we need it. But the difference the US can make in the value that we're getting out of flights. Not up. What we've got going on. Beijing too. Mongolia, Ulaanbaatar, into Beijing. Slightly long route. Shouldn't be too many people going that way, so we'll do that. And then it's going to be South Korea. So just with a quick sweep, it's just gotten us to try and finish off the rest of mainland Asia, continental Asia. That's really the way to say it. We are still going up in time, so swung this back in our favor for the time being. And I think that this sort of layout of several routes, like webbing the across the Atlantic, is going to really be helpful. Span the whole length of China. Do worry that we're gonna there's gonna be a lot of strain put on that line. So we'll see. Alright, we'll get South Korea in here and then we'll call it a day. So we'll give them 2 big planes, because we want those people moving in and out nice and quick. We're back into the 90s, and Venezuela is our next connection. So that definitely will come into our mapping across routes. All right, there we go. So we look at the big picture. We are now even further spread. Any questions or comments, feel free to chuck them below. And until next time, catch you later. See ya.